All right, welcome to installment number 2 in Backyard Day Havre of your top 10 positional rankings for the 2021 NFL Draft. And if you're wondering, and if you saw the last video, yes, we're still throwing the ball. The dogs never get tired. Defensive tackle. This is another position that I think most people realize the Cowboys need help with, whether you're talking about rushing the passer, whether you're talking about holding up in run defense, or whether you're just talking about being big enough and strong enough that your linebackers can play worth a damn. The Cowboys are in the market at defensive tackle, so from 1 through 10 in this year's NFL Draft, here I go. I have no first-round graded defensive tackles. That does not mean that none of them will go in the first round. Because I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16 real first-round graded players. So, defensive tackle Christian Barmore is my top guy out of Alabama. He has a little bit of everything that you want at defensive tackle. He played his best against the best competition in the college football playoff. He's got power. He's got enough quickness. He's got he can be a people mover. But here's the thing, and this is why I have no first-round graded defensive tackles. Christian Barmore wasn't even a full-time starter in Alabama. In run situations, they didn't play him. He was more of a pass rusher. That doesn't mean that he played on no rundowns, but they had other guys they trusted better when it came to stopping the run, and he's a defensive tackle. So I've got him as my top defensive tackle prospect because he will give you pass rush on the interior, and he's got the physical capabilities to be a good run player. So Christian Barmore, D-tackle number 1. Defensive tackle number 2 for me is going to be highly controversial because everybody hates my guy, but it's Marvin Wilson, Florida State. He is just such a powerful dude. His first 2 years in college football, he was dominant. Before this last college football season, he was being mock drafted in the first round. He's incredibly talented. And in this past season, he was playing on a 3-man line for the most part as a defensive end, and it was very different. And he had a torn meniscus in his knee that he was playing through. So Marvin Wilson, if he had better 2020 tape and if he didn't have the injury and he could have continued on the trajectory he was on his first 2 years in college, Christian Barmore wouldn't be D-tackle 1, Marvin Wilson would be. So I'm leaving him a lot higher than I've seen a lot of other people on him. But Marvin Wilson's D-tackle number 2 for me. D-tackle number 3, McNeal, NC State. He's a big old boy. He's a nose tackle. At NC State, they had him playing true nose tackle a lot of the time over the center where you got to deal with a lot of blockers. But he shows you the ability as that dude in the middle where it's just like, look, I ain't moving. You're not moving me, and he is able to move other people. So he's a nose tackle, but I have him with a second-round grade because he's a nose tackle that I do think can offer some pass rush. I think that he's got a good enough quick step. First step. I think he's a good enough athlete that he can offer you some pass rush. So D-tackle number 3 is McNeal out of NC State. D-tackle number 4. We are still in the second round. Levi Onwuzurike is out of Washington. He is more of your 3-technique defensive tackle. Your 1 technique is your giant men that are mostly run stoppers. Your 3-technique is the guy who plays next to him, who's more of a penetrator. We're trying to sack the quarterback and all that stuff. Well, Levi is an explosive athlete at defensive tackle who, I'll be honest, the tape did not blow me away, but the traits are very, very good. You're talking about first step explosion. You're talking about ability to beat interior offensive lineman off the snap, and he does have power in there at times. He's a guy that kind of plays high, and so you got to coach him up a little bit, but the traits are there to be an outstanding pass rusher, and that's why he gets a second-round grade. That is D-tackle number 4. D-tackle number 5 is Marlon Tuipulu, USC, and he's one of the true nose tackles. One of those dudes that is going to hold his ground, is going to be able to shed blockers and make plays in the run game. He is your standard version of the sort of defensive tackle that I like to play at nose tackle, where he's not going to get moved. He will be able to move you, and he's going to be very efficient in the run game. At least that's the way that I see him. Defensive tackle number 6 is Tommy Togiai, Ohio State. The Cowboys defensive coaches were at his pro day, by the way. They were at Christian Barmore's as well. Defensive line coach was at Marvin Wilson's as well. Tommy Togiai you probably saw him in the college football playoffs, and he played really, really well there. He's just a well-built dude that's kind of got the flexibility in his body where when you watch him as a run player, he's strong enough, he's powerful enough, but he's also sort of got that just ability to to be powerful from weird angles that gives him a chance to make plays in the run game all over the place, and might offer you a little bit as a pass rusher. Now, here comes my wild card. My wild card is my guy Dayo Odangbo at Vanderbilt. Now, he tore his Achilles before the Senior Bowl, and at Vanderbilt, he played more defensive end than defensive tackle, I believe. He played over 200 snaps at each spot. But he can play edge. He can play defensive tackle. If you put weight on him, he could be a full-time defensive tackle. But long dude, athleticism, natural pass rush ability, versatility, power in the hands. Like, I'm giving you a scouting report of a guy that I absolutely love, but you are also talking about torn Achilles not too long ago. So that is my dude, and is currently defensive tackle number 7, defensive tackle number 8. Milton Williams. And Milton Williams is out of Louisiana Tech, who Louisiana Tech's had guys I like before. But Milton Williams is he's a freaky athlete. He tested as a freaky athlete. He would be a freaky athlete for a defensive end. And I think in the NFL, you're going to play him at defensive tackle. So now it's even freakier. Tape, to me, is not great, but you see the flashes. You see the flashes of, holy cow, what an athlete. Wow, look at the get-off. Man, there is some shock in his hands when he goes about things properly. It's a developmental guy, but it's a developmental guy with tools that are really, really, really good. That is Milton Williams. Number 9 at D-tackle is Tyler Shelvin, LSU. Now, with him, you're talking 340 pounds. You are talking mountain of a man. And I'll put in the call right now. I think he'll have 0 career sacks in the NFL. I don't think he'll ever sack a quarterback because that's not what he's about. But he will anchor in the middle of the defensive line. So in the 3rd, 4th round, somebody's going to take Tyler Shelvin to just be out there and be a giant. So that is 9. And number 10 is currently a 4-man battle between Davion Nixon at Iowa, Bobby Brown at Texas A&M, Odighizuwa at UCLA, Jay Tufele at USC. I have Nixon the highest right now because he has good production, good athleticism, but you can hear it in my voice that I don't love it. Bobby Brown at Texas A&M, if he were more consistent, his good plays are as good as any one technique in the draft, easily. And Odighizuwa, I really like as a nose tackle too, but he's a 280-pound nose tackle, which is a weird thing. But he's a former wrestling state champion. He's really good. So that is a battle for number 10, which means you just got bonus content. You got more than 10 guys. But that's it. That's the top 10 defensive tackles in this draft class, according to me. Christian Barmore, Marvin Wilson, Alim McNeal, Levi Onwuzurike, Marlon Tuipulu, Tommy Togiai. Let me not screw up this guy's name again. I gave myself a pronunciation guide so that I wouldn't. Dayo Odangbo, Vanderbilt, Milton Williams, Tyler Shelvin, and then the battle between Davion Nixon, Bobby Brown, and this one's Osa Odighizuwa. There you have it. Be cool to people. You have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool to everybody. I love you. Have a great day. Goodbye. Check 1053thefan.com every day, of course, and subscribe to youtube.com/Jeff Cavanaugh. If you have a D-tackle that you like that I did not list and you think that I haven't seen him or I'd have him higher, hit me up. I'll take a peek.